Small subcompact SUVs are gaining traction in the US every single year. Cars like this Honda HR-V, which for 2026 has a host of minor refreshes inside and out that keep this vehicle popular all the time. There's so many choices out there, but this Honda is delivering a lot of what makes the CR-V and bigger Honda SUVs so appealing, but in a smaller and more affordable price package. Let's go for a drive. This HR-V in its second generation was brand new for 2023. There aren't very many changes, only now the chassis and most of the body structure is shared with the pricier Acura ADX, which goes for a lot more money. And is it really that much better than this Honda, which offers so many features at this price? Well, let's find out. There's two new exterior paint colors for 2026. This is not a new paint. There's a silver paint on the EXL and the LX, but I like this one so much better. It's called Nordic Forest Pearl. Has a really striking effect in the sunlight and in the shade. Love it. Definitely looks more upscale than so many other colors out there. There's also new wheel designs across all three trims. This is the EXL, so it has machine finished 18-inch wheels, the biggest you can get on an HR-V. Now overall, I think it's a nice looking SUV, not quite as good as say the Chevy Trax. I think that looks a lot sleeker. There's an open mouth effect, kind of looks a little bit like a fish. I'm just gonna say that, but the headlights are super bright. So bright at night that I think Honda drivers of late model cars like this are blinding me, but they're fantastic LEDs. That also extends to the full LED taillights at the rear, where this car really has the profile of the Acura ADX. That's the way more expensive version of this same car. So from that effect, you're actually getting a Honda that looks way nicer than it actually is. I like that part of the HR-V, especially from the rear. Even in its first generation, the HR-V always came with a higher quality interior at this price point. Everything here is just nicely padded. Really, the materials are so good, the fit and finish at this price point, excellent. Even the air vents, the window switches, the turn signal stalks, they have a better quality than cars like BMW. This is not a joke. And for 2026, on this top-level EXL, there's now some front footwell lighting and new silver steering wheel spokes to give it that little extra pizzazz. There's actual space in the back seat, both headroom and legroom, way more than, say, the previous generation Hyundai Kona and the Mazda CX-30, two of the prime competitors for this car. But for 2026, even on this top trim, no air vents, no USB ports, and no center armrest. This is supposed to be a value, but come on, Honda. The HR-V has over 24 cubic feet of space with these seats upright and just over 55 when they're down. Pretty simple, including this. You cannot get a power hatch, but it's really light. You don't need one. The HR-V is one of the slowest SUVs out there. And by slow, I mean 0 to 60 in like 10 seconds slow. Toyota Prius from 2009 slow. Probably matching the Mitsubishi Mirage slow. Slower than my 1998 Volvo slow. How is that relevant to you? Well, if you actually want to merge onto a highway, pray. Honda has a turbocharged engine that they put in the CR-V and also the Civic, but this engine is a 2-liter naturally aspirated 4, which seems like it should be enough. 158 horsepower, just over 130 pound-feet of torque. But because this car is 3,300 pounds, which is not that much, that power to weight isn't that good. Plus, it's a CVT, continuously variable transmission, and all of the torque doesn't come from down here. It comes from all the way up here. Now, luckily, it's not too noisy, but really, this is the way cars used to drive. It's the one really annoying feature of the HR-V that makes it feel old and very outdated and outclassed. And the fuel efficiency in return for all this isn't really all that good either. 30 mpg highway with all-wheel drive, 32 with the front-wheel drive model. Combined, it's 27 or 28. And for this size car, like, that should be a lot better. And I bet if Honda turned this into a turbo and then added the hybrid system, wow, it would be so much better. So I harp on the engine because really that's what's going to matter when you're driving. But when you're up to speed, the vehicle's pretty quiet and it's very comfortable. These seats, extremely supportive. The leather-wrapped steering wheel feels great. The steering accuracy is also awesome. Honda's chassis is awesome. It really is. I'll keep using that word. Honda knows how to tune it. And all of their cars, from the Civic to the CR-V, even the bigger Pilot and the Passport, handle surprisingly well. So everything Honda is touching these days, ace. It is. When it comes to chassis, solidity and ride quality, mitigating the roll. Heck, all the lane centering that it offers with Honda sensing, which comes standard across the entire lineup, not just the HR-V. But this engine should be thrown away, discarded. But you do have to put your foot to the floor. I'm going to keep talking about this because I haven't been in a car this slow in quite a while. Maybe a Subaru Crosstrek from a few years ago even. So you just got to plan ahead. There's also no sport driving mode to even help you out. There's a few. There's normal, there's snow, and then econ, which makes it even slower. But I can forget talking about the engine because the grip is there, that's for sure. And the compliance on any road is also unflappable. Again, it drives like something way more expensive. The Chevy Trax is also very similar. This is definitely better than the Hyundai Kona. I still think it's just a nicer experience just from behind the wheel here. This two-tone dash, the design of the cabin, and the comfort of these seats. The more I drive the HR-V, the more I'm convinced I'm in something larger that Honda makes, but I'm not. And that's great because all of the essence of Honda's larger SUVs, from their controls to the quality that you're seeing in here, to just really everything from the gauge readouts, for example, it's so consistent from model to model that you can jump in any of these SUVs and feel right at home. Yeah, and the steering control is excellent. It is. For modern cars, this is really one of the better ones out there. And I think Honda is keeping this naturally aspirated 4 because it wants to keep the HR-V at a more affordable price point. All that said, I wouldn't mind paying another $1,000 or $2,000 if that gave me better performance. But at least when you're coming to a stop, which doesn't take long at all, pedal feels slightly soft, but very controlled. Again, the body movements, pitch dive, they're perfectly in check. A 9-inch touchscreen is now standard across every model, and this HR-V is so new. I'm gonna peel off these stickers here. Gotta love that in any new car. Wireless Apple CarPlay is now standard. I like that, plus wireless Android Auto. Now this screen replaces the 7-inch that was standard on the LX and the Sport trims, so it's now available on every single HR-V. They've cleaned it up a lot. These are all the settings you get. The rest of them are in that 7-inch instrument panel, the digital part. So there's really not as much to adjust this year. And also on the EXL, you get responsive, look at these lights here when I adjust the temperature. That's cool. I gotta say, it doesn't do it for the fan speed, but here it's very Mercedes-like. It's good that this is still manual controls. There's still manual driving modes, plenty of controls on the steering wheel. So the HR-V is really simple to set up, and really what you see here, this is it. The left side of the instrument panel is all digital. You can adjust it with the steering wheel buttons here. You want to adjust safety setups, all that good stuff. Now, a big difference for 2026 is that all the vehicle settings that were in the touchscreen are now here. I think this makes it a little tougher to adjust, but in case you wanted to know, this is where everything is now. I don't like that actually. This actually makes it harder to use, but at least the settings are available here. And everything else, once you've set it up, is simple. The 2026 Honda HR-V starts at $26,000. There are 3 trims, and all-wheel drive costs about $1,500 more on every trim. I tested the EXL with all-wheel drive, destination, and its extra charge paint around $33,000. Even though the HR-V is built in Mexico, where tariffs are still affecting imports, Honda has only put a small price increase from 2025. The competitors? Chevy Trax, Nissan Kicks, Mazda CX-30, and a half dozen or so more. The Honda HR-V could definitely use some extra power. As a modern vehicle, it's very slow, and Honda has a turbocharged engine it could throw in here for not too much extra money. But I'm glad that for 2026, they're keeping it below $30,000 to start and below $35K fully loaded. This is a car that delivers a lot of interior quality, a lot of refinement, space, good style, and a lot of high quality elements throughout the entire car. So even if it's slower, Honda has a really compelling product, and I'm glad that really it's still a value today. But what subcompact SUV do you want to see next? Which one would you buy? Go to CarGurus.com, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and we'll see you next time.